Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Andy Gunnin. With me, not today, is Jody Cieutat. He is missing today. Unfortunately, he does not feel well under the weather. We had bad storms last night, and he decided to go out in the rain and move a bunch of stuff, he said, in the bad weather last night and got himself sick. So, welcome if you're watching live or listening anywhere out there. Live right now, we are on YouTube and Twitch. We're not live on Facebook. I lied to everybody when I posted it on Instagram. But thank you if you are watching live or if you're listening anywhere, post show, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for downloading. Please, if nothing else, go in there and give us 5 stars. You don't have to tell us we suck or we're awesome. Just hit 5 stars. Helps us get to the top, helps us get better, and it lets us know we're doing something right or we need to do something better. We don't care. But unfortunately, Jody went in with me after I put together an amazing show with a bunch of topics, a bunch of things to talk about in the news because we've got a lot to cover today. Today's a little bit of a, I'm not going to say bitch, but just vent. It's a venting session today. I am working on some stuff. I got some new merch in for my comedy shows. My poop puppet bit now has a sticker and a logo. I created a logo several weeks ago. I've been working on it, worked it out, ordered a bunch of stickers. They finally came in. The stickers look great. They look amazing. I just ordered this morning a mock-up of the t-shirt. So I'm going to get the t-shirt prototype in. This is my process with anything I do with merch for my shows. Is I go through this process. I either make it into a sticker. We see how it goes, test the waters, and then I'd order a prototype shirt for myself from a company, storefrontier.com. By the way, here we go. For those of you who want a shirt of anything I've created of a lot of my stuff, you can go to Store Frontier. But all my personal merch that I make for all my shows now, I use Store Frontier for my prototypes. I've got some other things created. If you want to go in there and buy a shirt, go ahead. I don't promote it as much because everything I'm bringing it in-house. Although they do a lot of the detailed logos of the color stuff I do. Like the Sugar Hugger shirts, I Wipe My Hamster, that you get at my shows, I personally make here. That stuff goes directly to me. I do make a little bit more money off it by doing it in-house, but I do love Store Frontier because they do have color graphics and things like that I don't have set up on my screen printing machine yet. So we're getting into that, and the more we get into that. But you're more than welcome to go there and check out. And you can order a Poop Puppet shirt from there. It's up. I've ordered the first shirt coming out. It looks great. I've not had an issue with any of the shirts I have made on storefrontier.com, designed or sold. And I've sold probably 20 shirts or more to other people. Never had one return. Never had any issues. Never had any shipping issues, discrepancies, or anything like that. So go to storefrontier.com. and get you a shirt there. And what little bit of money we make off that shirt goes right back into the podcast because we don't have any sponsors still. Yeah, I know. Crazy, right? Right. Anyways, we won't get into that. We won't harp on that, but here's what we are going to do. I'm going to post this up just in case people are watching. Go to starfrontier.com. Go to /Andy's Room. I didn't say that before. /Andy's Room. You'll find it. It says Fat Thor Lockdown Challenge. All that. You can order a Poop Puppet shirt. I think with tax and shipping and all, it's like $25. I priced them down to a very reasonable level. So that way everybody can afford it. And if you order a shirt from me on andygunnin.com, my personal shirts, my personal comedy shirts, which I hope you buy them and come to a show in them, which is the Sugar Hugger shirts, I Wax My Hamster, all that. Please go buy those. Those come directly to me. I ship them direct to you, so you get a little extra from me. I throw you a sticker. Sometimes I get a little willy-nilly and throw you a free koozie if you order 2 shirts or more. So there's all that. And that's how we make money. That's how I am making money to support this podcast and support me on the road. I've got to go to Nebraska tomorrow. That's why I'm doing it on a Wednesday today. And unfortunately, that jinxed us because Jody's sick. So we're going to try this solo. So, yeah, we're going to go from there, see what happens. Don't know. I've got It might not be an hour-long show today, but we've got a lot to cover. Just my personal thoughts, opinions. And those of you who are listening, you're more than welcome to comment, chime in on any of this stuff. I will read it. I will show it. Those of you listening, you won't be able to see it, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But anyways, let's walk down the path of righteousness. Things in the news that I've been seeing a lot lately. This absolute. Oh, by the way, I had some great shows last week. I'll get into those a little. Actually, let's get into that. I headlined for the first time. I've closed shows before. I've closed shows. First show I ever closed that I did 30 minutes was over 2 years ago. Tom Ammons of Peachy Tom. I'm going to get him on the show. I should have called him when Jody canceled, but I don't know if he could do it. I got to check his schedule. But Peachy Tom in South Carolina, produces a lot of comedy shows under his Rabbit Comedy. I'm going to missay it. Anyways, Peachy Tom. He booked me 2 years ago as the headliner of one of his clean shows for 30 minutes, and I was nervous, never done a full 30, had never closed a show. I know what it takes to close a show. I've seen headliners and all that. Didn't know if I had it, so I did it. I closed the show. I did okay. It was rough, but I broke the crowd and a few people because it was a tough crowd for everybody. I had a decent set. I had a lady come up to me with her daughter. They talked about my wax hamster bit. That's what I ended with. I've got a lot better material now, a lot stronger material now that I've developed on the road, thankfully. So I did that. It was a learning experience. And Tom reached out to me last May, said, "Hey, man, I want you to come up here and headline a show for me." And I was at the point, it's like, yes, I'm ready to come back to do 30-minute sets. I'm working on my feature sets to become a feature and to be booked as a feature at clubs and shows. And so, yes, would love to do it. But unfortunately, my son's graduated high school, can't do it. No big deal. He didn't call me back. I didn't reach back out to him. And then this May, he has a thing about booking me in May. It's so weird. I mentioned that to him. So you realize you book me every May? He goes, "What?" I go, "Yeah." And it's great. It's funny though. And so he booked me to headline because I want you to headline. Reached out to me a couple months ago. Excuse me, I think I'm about to sneeze. Sorry. And I said yes. Yes, I will headline. Yes, I will headline your show. Now I knew he wasn't expecting me to do more than 30 minutes. It was all clean show. Great. And so I get there to South Carolina to this community theater in Seneca. Now, before I get there, he sends me a message on Messenger. And anytime you get a message from a booker, usually the day of the show or the morning of the show, you always get nervous. You don't want to open it because that's always can possibly be we're canceling the show. It's typically, that's just kind of how I think. It's like, oh, shit, here we go. Excuse my language. They're going to cancel the show on me. I've been all psyched. I'm geared up. I'm ready to go. I got my material ready. I got my merch ready. Now I have merch. Now I'm selling merch. So I'm like, now I'm excited, because I can cover costs and gas and all this stupid expenses that goes along with traveling. And I was like, man, he's going to freaking. And then I looked at it and it was a picture. And I was like, oh, a picture. And it was a picture of Tom and me. And I was like, what the heck is this? It was a newspaper article. Front page newspaper article on the entertainment section of the Seneca local newspaper in Oconee, South Carolina. I think that they cover Oconee is the county, which they cover, which big Seneca's the city. Forgive me if I've got it backwards. I should have uploaded it here. See if I can get it on it. Now I can't get us to like I'll show it next podcast in case anybody wants to go back and watch it. But anyways, there's a big color picture of Tom, and then there's a black and white picture of me under it. And this article is like, says Oconee County Community Theater or Seneca Community Theater hosting comedy night. And they talked about, the headliner is Andy Gunnin, a clean community, a little blurb about, he talks about my whole bio, midlife, wax hamsters, all this stuff, And then they talk about Tom, and they do a little interview with Tom. He goes, look at this. I go, oh my God, that is amazing. because I had just been talking to a booker that books me a lot, who also who does some classes or some group, some, I would call it group therapy, but group support for comedians, that goes through different things. How can we be better? What can we do better as a business? What can we do better as comedians? Things like that. He's a very smart guy. Jared Ollie Dangley. I'm gonna get him on here. He runs and manages shows all across America with Bar Comedy USA. He books me a lot. He has booked me a super ton this year. Can't thank him enough. But we were talking, and he was like, he goes, here, because I have a real issue with people just calling themselves a headliner. Okay, headliner is the person who closes the show. It's supposed to be build up from the host to the guest to the feature to the super duper funny guy who can do 45 minutes plus. That is, and just because you do 45 minutes does not deem you as a headliner. Let's just get that out of the bag. Just because you can do 45 or an hour does not deem you as a headliner. A headliner is somebody who brings the laughs even harder, better than the first three guys or two guys or first guy you see, and just really just gives everybody a gut-wrenching, good freaking ride, good time. Now, we've all been a part of shows where it hasn't. I'm guilty of that as myself in one of my first 30-minute shows, but I still got good laughs. People liked it. But was I the funniest on the show? I don't know. I can't say that I was. But people said they had a good time. They enjoyed the show. That's all that mattered to me. I grew. I got the opportunity. I have moved forward. And I agree with Jeremy on this comment because, I've gone into this thing, people just calling themselves headliners, and you watch them and you're like, dude, you're not as strong as and don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bitching because I'm not a strong headliner right now either. But I did have an amazing strong set. I was a headliner Friday night. I was the strongest. I did 50 minutes. I was sweating. They were laughing their butts off. Three people came in and said, "Thank God you stopped when you did." I did 50 minutes. Said, "Thank God you stopped." My mouth hurts from laughing. My cheeks, my gut. I am sweating. I am exhausted from laughing. So thank you for stopping, because there's a point. Jerry Seinfeld said this, and I'll get back to my point with Jeremy. Is that there can be too much. They were interviewing him here. I saw interviews like, "Why did you end Seinfeld? You could have got 110 million for the next season." He goes, "Oh, I could have got more." He goes, "There's a relationship between you and the audience, and it's so red fire, so hot, so good that at some point you just have to come off of it, because there is such a thing as too much, and you don't know where that is." It's like watching a headliner do an hour and you're just having the greatest time, but then they go to an hour and 20 and now you're exhausted, you're tired. What you loved about them up to that hour now has been killed, and now you're exhausted. You're tired of them. You want them to shut up, go away, so you can go about your life and day. And now you have diminished what you have built. Very, very well said. Because there's that such thing as one bite too many. I've had a great meal. I'm full. I'm satisfied. This was the most amazing thing. I enjoyed it. Oh my God. Okay, I'll have one more little bite or two. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, now I feel sick and nauseous. Now I hate this food. Now I had this great experience. Now I've ruined it. Make sense? That's what that is. So a headliner is supposed to be able to give you that and read these things and know these things and shift and change gears and have a bag full of tricks and jokes and hundreds of jokes to pull from, and something didn't work, or there's 5 minutes of 2 or 3 days. Like what Tom told me, he goes, "I don't care how much time you do tonight, Andy. I don't care if you do 30 minutes. I don't care if you do 45. Because I said, I'm a headliner. Am I supposed to do 45? Because they did me as a headliner in the newspaper. And that's what we're going to back to Jeremy. Jeremy and said, here's what a headliner is, and here's how the term headliner became about. Headliners came about back in the day when people would go from town to town for entertainment, whether it was a circus or an act or a comedy act or magic, whatever it was. The local newspaper put them on the front page of the headlines, whether it was the front page, very front page, or the entertainment section. That front page, or in big bold letters, coming to town, Elvis, coming to town, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus featuring blah, blah, blah. That's a headline. That makes headline. That makes you the headliner because you make headlines going from town to town in the local paper. And that's how the term headliner. Your headliner is someone who makes the news, who makes headlines. And that's what you aspire to do as a comedian, is to make headlines, whether it's in a magazine or something like that. You make headlines, but the actual term that deems you a headliner is someone's like, coming to town, Tom Segura to do a show at blah 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 community theater. That's a headliner. That's what makes you a headliner. Well, these amazing folks in Seneca did an interview with Tom. And that's what me and Jeremy were talking about. He goes, that's what makes you a headliner. He goes, so if you ever make the headlines on front page of an entertainment section or a newspaper, then you are deemed a headliner. And not a lot of people use the newspaper anymore. And that's not, and because the newspaper and the news game has gone away, we rely on social media and all that. So now we're just calling people headliners because they're closing the show and doing 30, 45 minutes. Whether they're a good headliner or not, they're calling themselves headliners. So our whole conversation was, if you can make headlines, then you're a headliner, and you can and do the time and make people laugh and have a bag of tricks. And there's a lot of different things to a headliner. And you're really supposed to be able to have an hour to an hour and a half in your back pocket. That's really what you need to be a headliner, because you may have to shift gears. You may have to shift out of, you may hit a topic, the whole audience pulls back on you. So you've got to be able to have enough material to cover that 45 and maybe an hour. And then it's up to you to make the call as, I hit enough at 45. They've had a good ride. I need to bail. And knowing as a headliner when to bail at the right time, the climax, your swan dive, your amazing finale, and then walk off where people still love you. They've had a good time. They're not exhausted, because there are times where you have been at a show and you have seen a comic go 5 minutes too long, 10 minutes too long, sometimes 3 minutes too long. Like, you should have left 3 minutes ago. And I've had that conversation with friends of mine, and I've realized that myself. I should have bailed at this. We all do it. And I've told that to friends of mine. I was like, hey, man, you should have bailed 3 minutes ago. When you hit that you were out of gas, weren't you? Yeah, but I tried. Yeah. Well, at that moment, that's when you need to take. And it was a learning moment for me to have it in my head, too, and to say out loud to myself, hey, when you hear this, when you get to this and you've filled your time, even if it's 30 seconds short of the 45 minutes, the club's not going to really bitch at you. Nobody's going to bitch at you. Now, if you 5-10 minutes, that's a different conversation. So I make the headlines with Tom. So the Seneca does this whole newspaper article because Tom goes, I didn't know they were going to do this. And I said, what? I said, they just did this on the. He goes, yeah. He goes, well, so I get to the show. I'm excited because we made the front page of the newspaper. I'm like, so I sent the thing to Jeremy. I said, Jeremy, here you go, buddy. Look at this. I am not only booked as the headliner, but I have now made headlines on the front page of the entertainment section of the Seneca newspaper. I am now officially a headliner and can hold that title. Now I got to go do my job. Now I got to go do 45. Now in my head, I'm doing 45 tonight. I'm filling the time. We're going to have a good time. I'm coming out swinging. I'm excited. And I get there. And it's this old community theater, which they have preserved and kept up very nicely. And they still, and I say old, but it was probably built in the 30s or 40s, 20s or 30s or 40s, and expanded. And it's a nice community theater, and they've done a good job keeping it together in the historical part of it, meaning they have the original floors and all that stuff, which is an amazing building. And they have a small theater room, they have a big theater room. When we were in the small theater room, and they've been doing comedy there apparently a long time. Well, they got into a rut because they had a booker that was booking comedians. The last they had like 3 shows, they said. So I get there. So here's what this lady asked me. Goes, all right, hey, you're the headliner. I said, who are you? And I said, I'm the show. I'm the guy that was on the front of the newspaper. Like, oh yeah, Andy. Hey, blah blah blah. So I'm excited to be there, and so they all start giving me the rundown. Like, you're clean, right? I go, well, that's why Tom typically books me, because I'm clean. I don't cuss. And then what's the problem? They go, oh, we've been doing comedy for a long time here, and we lost our comedy audience. I said, what? They said, we have been doing comedy for X amount of time. We've always had good shows. We have 80 people. In my head, I'm going, holy crap, this is going to be great. 80 people. I love 80 people. I'm like, yes. She goes, I don't know how many we're going to have tonight because we screwed up. I go, what do you mean you screwed up? Well, apparently the booker booked 3 shows of these headliner guys that just cussed the entire time, dropped the F-bomb, every other word, to the point where it drove the crowd away. Small town Seneca, South Carolina. Just think about it. Bible Belt. They're not there. They go, you can say a word here or there. We don't care. But they said it got to the point where it was just so bad, we lost our audience. We lost everything. They go, we were averaging 80 people every show. Well, that's their fault for not talking to the booker, not having conversations, and the booker not paying attention. So they fired this booker, and they bring in Tom, and Tom did a show back in April. Thank God he did one before I got there, because it basically set the ground rules. And okay, he brought a good show, and Tom usually books good shows, and he brings in good comedians. Well, he did an interview. So they decided to do an interview with Tom about doing clean comedy after the last show before my show. And he did a great, he goes, dude, they call me. He goes, I thought they were just going to do a little blurb. It was going to be about me doing comedy. He goes, well, who's your next show? And he goes, well, it's Andy Gunnin. He's the headliner of the next show. He goes, I had no clue they were going to put this on the front page of the entertainment section and make it a big to-do. And I go, well, they did. And he goes, I know, this is awesome. And I said, and so I tell him the whole story about me and Jeremy and all us comedians having this conversation. He goes, well, there you have it. You're officially a headliner, brother. I said, it's it. And now I'm getting it framed. I'm like, so it's these little things that you talk about. You don't know when they're going to happen, and they happen. So now the pressure was on. But I'm listening to the people in there, and they're just having fun. We have about 60-ish people that come and show up. And as I'm listening to what everybody before me is doing, because that's where I'm gauging my material, because I had a couple of bits that I'm like, talks about sex a little bit, but I don't cuss again. But it's a little PG-13-ish. And there's a teenager in the crowd, and I'm not worried about him. I'm just worried about giving these folks a good show. And now, because I've had 6 people at this point. Oh, they have told me the story about the F-bombs in these communities. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. So, but I just went out there swinging, having fun. I held the newspaper up and said, thank you for this. You guys did this. You guys made me a headliner. I now have it in writing. I now have it, and now I've got to give you a good show. And threw the paper away, and I still have it. I didn't throw it. I just put it away, and I just went at it. And I went at it. I took my time, and I went after them. And I went right off the cuff with my Bud Light stuff and trannies, and they liked it. And then I moved into my married stuff, and they loved it. And and they were just with me the whole time. And then I was adding punchlines and tags and things that I had been working on that I haven't used, that I was just, and in some of my bits, I haven't really, I had freedom. It felt like I had freedom because it was my show. And I took it as, it's my show. I'm going to control the show. I'm going to have and figure out what they like, what they don't. I've got it figured out, but I'm just going. And as soon as I figured out, they liked everything I was doing. There was nothing I could do wrong. They were just loving everything I had written, everything I had wrote, all my old Krispy Kreme stuff I really haven't done in a while that I brought back out. And I found some extra lines and extra tags in that, working with them. And I was having fun. And then it was getting a point, and I was like, I didn't even have my timer on my watch on. And I told Tom, don't give me a light. I got my timer on my watch. I didn't hit my timer. I just looked at my watch and said, I'm going to do 45 in my head. I looked down on my watch. It's 8 minutes till the hour. And I'm like, in my head, I went, holy crap, dude, you've been up here for 40 something minutes. Do your promo, land the plane. You've had a good time. These people have laughed a lot. You've had a great time. Land at a respectable 45. I landed at 50. I was tired. I was exhausted. I still had a few things left I could have pulled from if I needed to. So knowing this now, I know I can do a full hour in my head. So I do it. I have a great time. They're laughing. They buy merch. They come out and hug me. I'm having ladies slip me $20. Here you go. Here's some gas money. I don't want a shirt. I'm like, you're the greatest people ever. They're laughing. They're like, dude, you were funny. You were awesome. I laughed and my face hurt, My stomach, thank you for stopping, which told me, oh, I almost went too far, but I held it, but I gave him breaks. So now and from what, listen to what I said about Jerry Cieutat, it's like, okay, I know I've got a strong 45. I've got a good 50 and it's probably a strongish 50. So so whatever that next 10 minutes better be really good. So it better not be filler. It better be not dead. Because I have some shows that want me to do 60 minutes. Now, they say 50 to 60. So I know I can feel my 50 strong. If I go over to 60, it's not a big deal, but don't try to push and drag. And a lot of comedians will try to drag to that 60 mark, not being able to drag that 60 mark as strong as they can. And I've been around guys who can drive to that 60 mark as strong as they hit just as strong as when they hit the ground running from when they grab the mic to the end. But I know now, which is great, I can do a 45-50 strong. 45-50 strong. And I can do 60 fairly strong. But I haven't been able to do the full 60 yet. And I say that fairly strong because I am more reserved than I am. Yes, I can do 60 now. I know when you say I can do 60, it's like I can do 60. The people are laughing their ass off from the top 5 all the way to the bottom 5. That's what you're supposed to look at it and be objective about. And I can just feel the time. Because there's such a thing as you were good up to a point. And that happens. And it can't happen. So anyways, I had a great time. In the paper, front headlines, themed headliner, did a headliner set, 50 minutes, strong 50. I've worked a lot of stuff out. I'm excited about the new chapter going forward. I'm not running around going, book me as a headliner. I'm not. Don't get that right. No. I just know now, and which I've known for a while now, I'm a good strong feeder. Now I can sell myself beyond selling myself to clubs because of this. And because I have the confidence, and because I know my material now, and because the new material that I'm writing to go with the older material, I know what my hot points are. I know what works with me. I know what my voice is, and I know what comes out of me that's connects and what doesn't, and what to steer away from. And a lot of comedians won't do that. And you've got to be subjective to that. And there's things I think of and I'm like, God, this is so funny. I wish I could say this, but I know if it comes out of my mouth, it's going to come out wrong, or I don't have the ability to do it. But such and such could say it. And because of their persona, because of the way they are, because of how their voice is and what their stick is, they could sell. And I'm like, dude, it's your joke if you want it. So understanding those things, and sometimes it's fun to write in those terms of like writing things outside your comfort zone and outside your block. Because sometimes they do work, but sometimes they don't. And I tried it. I'm like, okay, I knew that wasn't going to work. I tried it, didn't work. So we're just going to move on. So anyways, I got some more shows coming up. Had one canceled today. I'm pretty upset about, but it's okay. It freed up some dates. I'm still looking. I've got some dates in June available. If anybody wants to book me, anybody wants to call, let me know. I am getting a lot of calls from that article too, by the way. I got a bunch of calls. I got a bunch of booking calls. Some I couldn't take. Some I could take. So I'm very happy. And thank you, Seneca, South Carolina. Thank you, Peachy Tom. I'm going to get Tom on here. We'll talk about that a little bit more in depth. So before that, we're going to hit the news. I didn't realize I hit 30 minutes, but there we are. So we're going to land the plane with some news, some topics, some issues, some things I have. Now, I don't know if you saw this, a hot chicken nugget episode. McDonald's, there was a big article. A lady sues McDonald's for $2.7 million or something crazy like that because a hot chicken nugget burnt her kid's leg. Now, here's what I want to know. When did McDonald's start serving hot chicken nuggets again? I haven't had a hot chicken nugget since the 80s. The last 2-3 times I've ordered some, which is about the only thing I will order from McDonald's if I need to get something. And I got something on the road a few weeks ago, and it was chicken nuggets from McDonald's. And they were not hot. They were not hot enough to burn anybody. They weren't hot enough. They weren't $2.7 million worth of hot. I can tell you that. And they weren't even $4.99 worth of hot. Well, apparently, this lady had a 4-year-old, hands her kid the nuggets, which, by the way, as a parent of 3 kids, whenever I would hand them stuff from Chick-fil-A, whatever, and I would grab it, I would feel it. I would test it. Is it hot? I want to know if this lady just never tested the bottle she gave her kid. Did she ever test the bottle? If it, remember, you test your wrist, for the formula, See if it's too hot, you're gonna burn your kid's freaking face off or lips out or mouth out because they're a baby. They can't, all they can do is scream and cry. Did she just hand them a hot bottle? Because she handed these kids just a, here you go, here's a bag of food. I guess because she realizes McDonald's serves semi-cold, medium, semi-cold food that it should never burn a kid, because that's the way it's been for the last 30, 40 years. I stopped going to McDonald's years ago. The only reason I went here not too recently, I had to use the bathroom. It was the only place open. I went in, felt like I had to buy something. I was like, I don't really want anything. I said, you know what? What's the best thing on the menu that's not a burger that makes it gonna make me feel sick or anything? And I don't want the greasy. I just get a little small box of chicken nuggets. The nuggets have become better again. They brought back the real chicken. It's kind of funny when they go, oh, we brought back the real chicken. We've been giving you styrofoam for years. But anyways, you just hand the kid the food, and then I guess the kid starts crying, and apparently now they're going, well, the kid's autistic too. Why do we got to bring autism into the thing? Because if it burnt the kid's leg, it burns the kid's leg. Are we just saying autism because it's going to give us a handicap to get us another million? Is that what we're doing? I don't know. That should have never been pulled into the thing. It's like, well, she couldn't use her words. She was just screaming. So I got out and I saw it was a red mark and the chicken nugget was there. It was the same size as the chicken nugget. I took pictures and blah, blah, blah. It's like the lady. That's how we got hot coffee. Do you know this? I don't know if y'all remember this back in the 90s. Lady ordered hot coffee off the McDonald's menu. They handed her the hot coffee and they had these little weird styrofoam cups that were kind of slick. But she spilt it and it was nuclear. She was like, yeah, it's so hot it burnt my legs. And they didn't have hot on it. So she sued. Now, they did have very hot coffee. And I've gotten some extremely hot coffee from McDonald's back in the day. And because it didn't say hot on the cup, even though she ordered hot coffee, she burnt her legs really bad. They were in, they showed pictures. It was really bad. And they did some temperatures, as I said, they're serving it way above a certain temperature. And that it could cause, blah, blah, blah. It's like basically almost at the verge of boiling. So they've refigured the coffee machines. But she sued for millions of dollars. And they said because it didn't say hot on the cup, that's how the word hot got on all the coffee mugs at McDonald's, for everybody who doesn't know. And nobody's watching, so that's great. But for those of that's how they got a little thing hot on there now. Hot coffee. So because if they hand you a cup of hot coffee, she goes, I didn't realize it was that hot. Well, how hot do you think hot is? So now we have a degree of hot. And this is how all this shit started in the 90s to where we are today. This bureaucratic bullcrap of people suing for things and over things and getting millions of dollars because your dumbass hands a 4-year-old a box of hot food. And if the kid can't judge it's too hot or whatever, and even if they dropped it on their leg, I know you weren't at hibachi, okay? But that's your fault for not, and all you did was turn around and that's a society. We're backseat eaters and backseat deliverers. And that's what parents are now. We drive through the drive-thru, throw the kid a bag of Happy Meal. Peace be with you. God be with you. And then they go, oh, they burnt themselves. It's McDonald's fault for serving me hot, fresh food. Just be glad you got hot, fresh food. Holy crap. Last I saw, they were still microwaving those nuggets and keeping them warm in some little tray. Stupid. Stupid. That's some other notes there. But so a lot of other things happening. And I'm not going to keep beating down on this trans stuff, and I'm not talking about beer. I know trans people. I've had trans friends. I've had trans friends since the 90s, folks. Back when trans was just considered a cross-dresser. Very good friends I used to hang out with and drink and have a good time with, and they moved to other places. I still have a lot of friends in the gay community, and just from doing comedy and from just being a good person and not being judgmental to people. Not bragging, not patting myself on the back, but I have a lot of things, a lot of friends, and I don't care what they do in the bedroom. I don't care. That's between them and God and them and whoever's in the room with them, because I ain't going to be in the room. But we've had a thing here in this whole thing of we have to accept, I've spoken my piece about athletes, and I think that's the White House finally came out, or the Congress said, we're not going to allow trans women into athletic sports, things like that. Women on the women's side, which is fine, great. Finally, we're doing, drawing a line in the sand. But the line hadn't been drawn in the sand in a lot of places. That the line has still been very obscure, very placed in the wrong place. I don't know if y'all saw this story, but here's a story come out. It just came out recently about a sorority. I believe I'm gonna pull it up. So
all of the bathrooms are shared spaces.
So make sure my mic's still on. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna pull it up because the sorority chicks. Oh, hold on. Let me pull it. It's Wyoming. Wyoming. There is a sorority being forced. Now, I don't know how this person, and it's a dude, it's a guy who wears makeup and has long hair, says he's trans, says he's identifies as a woman, has joined the sorority. I guess he joined the sorority, and I don't care about pronouns if I'm mispronouncing or whatever. He still got to dig. It's a dude. And the girls are fighting to stop having him live in the sorority house. But a judge has deemed that he can still live there. And I'm going to play the video. I did pull this off TikTok because they had one of the better videos. And so that is why I'm going to pull this off. And I'm going to play it, and then we'll talk about it for a quick second.
All of the bathrooms are shared spaces. There are about 3, 4 if you count the guest bathroom. And they are shared spaces. There are no private changing areas for when you shower. There are no locks on the showers. And it's very open and vulnerable.
Oh my goodness. And this person's moving into the sorority house next year?
What's interesting about that, Megan, is that there has been an exemption granted for him, for his safety, but not for these young women.
Now, there's been a thing to deem his safety. Now, we all know what sorority houses and fraternity houses are at college. You join them, you live in their house, and it's all dudes in a house or all chicks. That's why they're fraternities and sororities, and why they were separated years ago. People didn't end up pregnant, and STDs go rampant, and dudes didn't harass women sexually and things like that. Because the women have the freedom to go through their sorority house with no locks on the doors. Bathrooms are all women, open air. And we know how women are. They all go to the bathroom together. They have all their stuff out there. They're fine with each other. And they want to live in a house where they can just be them, which is great. That's why fraternities and sororities were created. And there have been unisex, co-ed dorms. My parents had issues with co-ed dorms back in the day, and I get it because now you got, and the fact that, it's like, we don't want everybody getting pregnant too soon. Get to college, get out, get a job, then go get knocked up, that kind of stuff. And the safety, because there are a lot of creepy dudes out there and a lot of people doing sexual misconduct. And that's where this falls in the line, because this person has already been in the sorority house and has already been documented. And the reason why I stopped it, because it was going to show the thing. But this person, and by the way, here's a picture of the person. Is a chubby white dude. Looks like a nerd. Looks like he didn't get a lot. He probably, even when he was a dude, probably didn't get a lot of chicks. That's fine. But he's been documented as watching the girls and getting erections. He's been documented as creepily viewing the girls and watching them in inappropriate ways with erections. He's been seen barging in on them in the bathrooms, standing there watching them undress and watching them do their daily routines of, brushing their teeth, doing showers while just standing there with an erection. Any other dude, any other guy that walked in that sorority house, stood around with an erection watching these chicks go about their day, would have been hogtied, thrown out of there, and put on a sexual predator list for the rest of their life, and deemed a sexual predator and follow them the rest of their life. And don't get me wrong, guys are guys, and yes, we're visually stimulated, and we want to see chicks naked and things like that. This person, this guy, this pervert is using trans as a way to be a pervert and hang around naked chicks and make them feel uncomfortable. And they have said, there has not just been one, there's been numerous, and we have it documented. We have it all this. But then the judge said, nope, you get to keep your pervert. You get to keep a dude with a dick looking at you getting an erection. You get to keep, what they should say is you can be in a fraternity, dude, or be in a guy's dorm. You can dress like a woman over there and deal with whatever you want to deal with, but you ain't gonna be around these chicks because obviously you are a sexual predator. He hasn't done anything yet. Holy cow! There's like 1 million kids walking up the road outside my house. That's where all these kid noises from. I thought it was from an overlay, but there's apparently a parade. There's an elementary school that lives across the street from my house, and apparently they're walking up the golf cart path. I guess they're doing some end of the year walk or something. So anyway, so if you hear that, that's what that is. Anyways, so this, and if you see a picture of this guy, what is his name? He has a weird name too. Students sue University of Wyoming for accepting a transgender member's claim to have seen a visible erection while they were changing. And apparently, and I haven't gotten to the bottom of this, the university are saying that they had to accept him, and they've been against it. Now all the sexual stuff. So now, and this dude is, there he is. He looks like a creep, not this white dude with the glasses right there. If you can't see it, looks like a creep. And he's been doing creepy things. Now, what's going to happen when he corners one of them? He's finally had enough erections. He's finally been stimulated enough as a man, because he's not being stimulated as one, being stimulated as a man, obviously, because it's visible erections. And he's like a man. We are chemically prone to want to look at boobs and women and things like that, and it does reaction. Now, I've been told by some of my friends that are gay, and they're like, I don't feel that way when I'm around them. I'm like, kind of call bullshit. But if you say it, fine. If a woman's comfortable with being around you naked and say, well, he's gay, it's fine. That's between you and them. I'm not getting in the middle of it. But these girls are saying this isn't fine. This dude is being a creepy dude. All he's doing is saying he's trans and wearing makeup. This dude is being a creep. Now watch what's going to happen. This dude's going to rape some chick, because apparently nobody wants to have any contact with this person. So it's not going to be consensual on any level. Not like the guy that went to jail as a trans. You remember this? You see this not too long ago? It's like, oh, I'm trans. I get to go to the women's prison. And he ended up knocking up like 4 or 5, getting them pregnant. So obviously he wanted and intentionally went in there to have sex with them. So this whole trans thing is being abused and diluted by sexual deviant perverts. And that's what we've got. That's what people have got to understand. If you want to dress up like a woman, dress up like a woman, but you're not going to be allowed in a sorority house. You're not going to be allowed these things. Okay. These things are not going to be allowed because a lot of people are using it as to be a pervert and possibly sexually harass and become a sexual predator and do sexual harm. This guy should be already hogtied, sexual predator list. But they're like, nope, he's trans. So what they're saying is I go put on a wig and put on a makeup as a man and go, okay, I'm trans now. So I can go hang out in women's bathrooms and sorority houses and have erections and look at them naked, and there's no locks on the door, so they have to let me in because I'm one of the girls now. That would go over like a lead fucking balloon. But the fact that we're letting this happen is bullshit. The fact that it's happening is bullshit. So yeah, I've got a big problem with that. Big problem. Because this dude is going to hurt some girl. And mark my words, it's going to be in a situation. He's going to beat her up. He may murder her. And I hate to say that. But unfortunately, they're letting rape on the table. That's what they're letting. These women's safety. But his safety, because he's such a warrior to wear makeup and walk around with boners looking at naked chicks all day. He's a warrior. I call bullshit. And if you think differently, keep on walking, because you ain't going to be around me. But if you want to have a discussion about it, we can have a discussion about it. You're just, because there's no rhyme or reason for this. But anyways. But I'll tell you, I'll do it like, speaking of women, you'll see this Martha Stewart is in Sports Illustrated, 81 years old. Now, don't get me wrong. Thank God. I mean, Sports Illustrated's got an ahead. It's over. Sports Illustrated was, and I'm going to save this topic for when Jody gets back, because I think me and Jody have some good things about this. It's just, it's over. The fact, and they're putting trans women in Sports Illustrated. The whole reason Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue was for women. And then, yes, I know it's for us to gawk at or look at women in bathing suits and sexy bathing suits as men's sports related, all related. And it was misogynistic, whatever. But the 80s were a different time, and we'll talk about that more into a deeper thing, because I got a bigger, deeper thing that will go into more time about Sports Illustrated, the 80s, the 90s, and now, and where we're at, and why we're here, where we're at with a lot of this problems and a lot of this sexuality and a lot of this sexual predator stuff that's being allowed to go on. And nobody's drawing a defined line. So we'll talk more about that in another podcast. But here's what I do love. I love people that speak their mind. I love people that are honest and that say, you know what, there are problems, and I'm going to call them out. And Elon Musk is probably one of the best ones. Here's why. Yes, I know he's a douche, but he's a smart guy, smart douche. He's not perfect. He's human. But he calls out people where they are, and I'm going to play a clip. And they were talking, they were trying to pin him down because he was talking about Soros. And if you don't know who Soros is a billionaire, multi-billionaire who's behind a lot of the Democratic Party and the money and a lot of things and a lot of the problems of, and I'm not saying Democratic people are problems, and I'm not saying that, a lot of the things that are pushing and promoting violence in a wrong way. He's funding a lot of, but he is funding. He's a huge funder of the entire of a certain sect of religion, not religion, excuse me, politics. He has been noted and quoted as saying he doesn't like democracy. He wants to see the destruction of democracy. He has put money into things which I will go down the path of. If you don't know, we'll talk about that on another podcast. But he does, and he is for the destruction of democracy and the destruction of freedom in this country. And he's been quoted as saying that. And when Elon Musk, I'll play the clip.
All of the bathrooms are shared spaces. There are about...
Wrong one.
There's a seat in the front.
But how do you make a choice? You don't see, I mean, in terms of when you're going to engage. I mean, for example, even today, Elon, you tweeted this thing about George Soros. Well, I'm looking for it because I want to make sure I quote it properly. But, I mean, you know what you wrote. But you basically...
It reminds me of Magneto. This is like, calm down, people. This is not like made a federal case out of it.
You also... you said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like, when you do something like that, do you
I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially, why share it when people who buy Teslas may not agree with you, advertisers on Twitter may not agree with you? Why not just say, hey, I think this. You can tell me. We can talk about it over there. You can tell your friends. But why share it widely?
I mean, This is freedom of speech. I'm allowed to say what I want.
You absolutely are, but I'm trying to understand why.
Yes, it's freedom of speech. He has the right to say whatever he wants to say. Oh, but advertisers won't collide with you because they're woke and whatever. We figured out from Bud Light, go woke, go broke. Why can't Elon, multi-billionaires creating rockets and cars and things like that, and an entrepreneur who is actually sees people for who they are, and Soros, and he's dead on with his statement, and I agree with his opinion in his statement. And why? And the further reporters say, well, why say it? Well, why are y'all saying things about politicians and people that aren't true? Why are you saying things that are protecting this trans boy? By the way, he's over 18 in that sorority thing. And all those girls are over 18. So this is an adult matter. Why is he not going? So here's my opinion. That's a pervert situation. And here's Elon saying this person is doing wrong. They are absolutely, and he's a billionaire, Soro's billionaire, and he's had talks with him and hung out with him. And he's like, he goes, he's basically calling wrong, and they don't like it. And remember, Soros, he owns all the media companies. He owns a lot of the media companies. His money is behind a lot of this, from CNN, and buying out the behinds of Fox and everything else. He is literally buying up. If you go look him up, he is buying up everything there is in media to control, and why our media has gone to one side and one narrative only. And he's calling it out. And then he's being told, well, why you say that? Well, because it's true. And that's my opinion. And whether you think it's true or not, that's my opinion. That's what I see. I have freedom of speech. Well, you do. But what about Elon? Don't give a shit about advertisers. He don't give a shit. And that's what I love. And here's why he does. And this is his final statement. This is what I love. And this,
All of the bathrooms are shared spaces.
wrong button. Sorry. Keep hitting the wrong.
There's a scene in The Princess Bride, great movie, where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care. You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
That's my man. That is my man. Give me money. Give me power. I don't care. And if whatever when I say loses me money, so be it. And that's what they're afraid of, is people like us, people who are strong-minded and who are saying the things that they want to say and should be allowed to say, and taking a stand, are being told you can't take a stand. You can't say this. I don't give a shit about money or power, but I'm going to say this anyway. Oh, it's so great. So funny. It's so funny. Because look, folks, we're all in the same boat. I'm not here to preach against you, but we're all in the same boat. We're all paying astronomical fees for gas and eggs and everything else, and food, and being told to think and this is the way. No, it's not. I mean, I grew up in a society where people who were Catholic and Baptist still coexisted together, even though we believed in the similar things, but we had different beliefs and different religions and different ways we grew up as a family. It was okay. It was fine because we did it in our house, in our community, with the people that we wanted to be. And we were still friends with each other. We were still happy. We were still hung out. But now we're being told, well, if I wear a dress and makeup, I can come in your house and hang out. No, you can't. I can hang out with no, you can't. I can hang out with your daughter in a sorority. No, you can't. No, you can't, because not if you're a predator, which you're being. So anyways, we'll get into more of this when I've got someone else to bounce it all off and get some more opinions. But that's just my thoughts on it, because it's wrong. It's wrong to say there's one way. It's wrong to say there's one way. That may be your way, and that's fine. And if we can't be friends, then go on about your way. But I'm going to tell you right now, I have rules and morality in my life that keeps me from saying yes and accepting what you think is right or wrong. And it's pretty much to the core of things as humans. That's why when I do my comedy a certain way. I do it fairly clean and PG-13. It's not that I offend, but people just want to have fun and laugh. But there's fun. And yes, I do make fun of the beers, the Bud Lights, and all that stuff, but I do it in a way that punches across. And I'm not punching down. What I am punching down on is it's like the old saying, if you give a kid 2 inches, you're going to take him out. If you give anybody, okay, well, you can do this, they take it an extra until they're told they can't. And then it keeps going and going and going and going to a point someone gets hurt or killed. And then they ask why. They go, well, we know why, because we already said it. I feel for those girls at the sorority house. Well, I mean, if I was a parent, I'd be losing my ever living mind. Hopefully something will come about to figure that out. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am. I know I'm probably not. But things are just so screwed up in this world. We just got to get back to a point. We got to find a neutral line. And neutral line's talking about it. Neutral line's talking about it. Again, I don't care what you do in the bedroom in your own home. Don't care. But when you push it on other people and told you have to accept this, and then someone gets hurt, just this is a good example. I live in a town where people come around with pine straw, and we put pine straw on our flower beds around our houses, kind of like mulch. A lot of up north places up north, not in the south. South, we use pine straw in our beds instead of mulch. And then every year we'll have guys, they'll come around and try to sell you pine straw the back of it. And then, look, man, I'm all for a guy being an entrepreneur and working hard. But these scam guys, it's got to be a big scam thing here in Georgia, where they come around, they knock on your doors like, hey, I'm here to sell you pine straw. I need to make some money, blah, blah. We got pine straw in the back. And you look back there, and there's like 15, 20 bales of pine straw. You're like, that's not enough to do my house. Now, I know how much pine straw it takes to do my house. I'm going to tell you how many, but it ain't 15 and 8, 20. But what they do is they scam people, and especially the elderly. They'll say, hey, can I put out pine straw? They're like, yeah. They'll put out pine straw, and they'll agree to a price. They said they'll say like, oh, it should take about 20 bales. It'll be $4 a bale, be $80. And I go, okay, go ahead. And they come back, knock on the door, and they go, 250. Now there's an argument. Now they've done the work. And they will shake these people down aggressively, mean, to the point where the police have to be called. And then the police will say, you have to pay them the $250. They've done the work. There's nothing we can do. And it's a scam. To the point where people have gotten. Last year I had an altercation. Now, where I live, the county said, and we would get so many of these guys knocking on my door, and I was like, go away. And they'd be aggressive. I'm like, go away. And I would call, and they go, there's nothing we can do about it. Well, last year, and it was caught on camera, because I have cameras all around my house recording stuff. And this guy came up to the door. So I came around out to my garage because I didn't want to open the front door. I had some boxes and stuff in the way. And so I came through the garage and I said, hey, man, can I help you? He's like, hey, man, I'm here to sell pine straw. I was like, man, don't even waste your breath. I got a pine straw guy, which I do. Just go on, have a good day. And he's like, hey, man, I'm just trying to sell you pine straw. I said, I've got a guy. I need you to leave my property, please, sir. I've said no already. Now, this is number 2. He goes, man, you ain't got to be like that. I look over in the truck, and I look over in the back, and there's pine straw, and there's barely 15 bales of pine straw. It takes a lot to do mine, and 15 don't even cover part of my front. And I put pine straw on myself, and I know how many it takes. And he goes, man, And I said, you need to leave right now. I said, you're being recorded. And he didn't care. He starts walking back towards me aggressively. And I said, you need to stop right there. He goes, man, I'm just trying to hustle. I'm just trying to make money, man. Well, you're not going to make money here. And you're on my property. And I see three of his buddies or three other guys in the truck. Now, I don't know what they have. I know what I got. I said, all right, you sit right here. Let me get my hand on something. He goes, what? And I said, I'm already calling the police and I'm getting my hand on my gun. He goes, man, you ain't gonna be we'll be back, motherfucker. And he gets in the truck and gets off the property, and they all start throwing up these, I don't know, signs and hands out. They go, we'll be back, motherfucker. We'll be back. All right. Come on back. So I called the cops. I showed him the video, showed him everything. He goes, I'd already shot him. He said, you already had the right to shoot and protect yourself by this point. And I was like, I said, well, I didn't see anything. And I said, pretty sure they had a gun too. I didn't want to shoot out here in my front yard. And he said, yeah, he goes, that's a physical art. So I showed him and everything. And I said, are y'all going to finally do something about this? Y'all have got to shake these guys down and get them out. He goes, man, they're just hard to catch. Hard to catch. And you don't want them hanging out in your yard because one of them, because they'll have usually two or three. One will jump out and just start throwing pine straw real quick. Oh, we already started. They get the fuck off my property. And then they get aggressive. And then they try to overpower you. And they typically have weapons. They have knives and they have tools. And I'm pretty sure they have guns. I don't know. But yesterday, this guy, same thing. I waited till he got to his truck to walk out and get a picture. And he saw me. It's like, hey, man. I was like, you're already off my property. Stay off my property. He steps back on the property. He goes, hey, man. I was like, you need to leave now. Because this year, my town put on Facebook on their police page, if these cameras, because apparently last year, not only did I have a almost violent issue or aggressive issue, they got several more people. And enough people have moved here now from other states that have not experienced it, and complained enough that they're like, all right, if you get these scammers or if you get unsolicited guys showing up for pine straw, because they're supposed to have a license, they're supposed to have a registration, they're supposed to have now they have a thing where if they're going to sell pine straw door to door, whatever, they can go get a legal thing showing they have a legal business, the name, employees, all that, and they can show you. And they said anybody that doesn't have it, and I was like, these guys didn't have it. These guys didn't have a business on the side. I said, they barely have 15 bales of pine straw. I said, they always pull at my house first. I don't understand it. So I took a picture. So I called them, gave them the picture. They found them. And they said, yep, y'all right. Y'all right. Apparently these guys have been harassing some other folks. So what I'm saying is, they let them go and said, well, there's nothing we can do. You just got to shoo them away, to the point where these guys took advantage of that to where physical altercations happened. People got robbed of money, and people have lost faith in the police to help and to serve and protect them in these altercations, and get it in letting these people run them up and do whatever they want. So it all comes back full circle. So that's the podcast for the day. I don't know how to end any other way other than a positive note. I got shows coming up. Please don't take this as, preaching down or bashing people. I like to come on here and talk about news topics. I like to find the funny in it. Today, we didn't find a lot of funny. But there is funny in things. But it's not funny in things when people are being victimized and harassed a group of people by one person. That's what I don't like. And that's what I don't like, what I see going on. And I'm going to try to find the funny in it. And I'm not going to pick fun at those girls or with their situation, because that's not funny. But what is funny is I don't care about money or power. This is going to be a soundbite from now on.
There's a scene in The Princess Bride, great movie, where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
And that's how we end the show. Thank you for watching the Fat Thor podcast. Thank you for listening. We'll have some more fun next week. Hopefully, I'll still be in town. I think I'll be in town. Hopefully, Jody will be back with us. Y'all have a good night or good day. God bless you. Be safe. I only wish nothing but the best for you and your family. And find a way to laugh. Find a way to support local comedy. Find a way to support fun and happiness in this crazy, screwed up world. We'll talk to you next week, next time on the next episode of the Fat Thor podcast. Again, share, like, tell us we suck, but at least give us a 5-star rating. We'll figure it out and go from there. Y'all good. Be good.